What's up, everypony? Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes debated each other on Channel 5. I know what you're asking, and what many other people asked is, why? Why did they do this? This seems weird. Seems like a weird combination of people. Surely they don't really have anything to talk about. The second most common asked question is, did they actually fight? There were a couple headlines floating around before the interview released. Hunter Biden almost came to blows and had to be stopped on Nick Fuentes. This was overwhelmingly not true. I watched the whole video. They did not ever come to blows with each other, but stick around. I still have some interesting things to discuss about what transpired. To get into why they were there, Hunter Biden being there is actually not as big of a surprise as you may think. You may be thinking like, oh, it's weird. Hunter Biden's only famous for being Joe Biden's son who did crack. It's very interesting that he's here. What is going on? Hunter Biden, however, is a huge fan of Channel 5. Channel 5 did the interview with him that changed, I think, a lot of people's perspective on Hunter Biden and who he was, and it gave him a chance to share his sort of side of the story of his laptop and being on crack and stuff like that. So that makes sense to me. Channel 5, he's just really interested in Channel 5 and likes their journalism and shit like that. Nick Fuentes being here, not a surprise to anyone, I don't think. He will go on any talk show. He will go on any podcast. He loves playing this game. He loves getting out there. This is what he lives for. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later. Channel 5 hosting the interview might be interesting. You may be thinking, what? Fucking journalism's dead. What? Westfallen? Why the hell is Channel 5 putting together this weird debate? But really, it's not that crazy surprising. Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes are very famous figures right now. They're generating a lot of hype around themselves. And this Channel 5 interview has millions and millions of views. It's like one of the most popular videos on the Channel 5 channel, despite being so new. So it's it makes more sense why everyone's here than you may think. But in this video, we're going to be talking mostly about Nick Fuentes, why he was there that day, what he does, and why he's wrong. This debate opens up with Nick Fuentes' initial policy. I say initial policy, but it's sort of really unless you watch his streams or what he personally puts out, anytime he goes on a talk show, anytime he interacts with podcasts and stuff, his main policy is I need to put this in a way that makes sense for the context. Everyone is talking about Nick Fuentes like, oh, he's the guy who says the N-word and CKL and loves Hitler and stuff, which is all true. That's all true.
Who would you rather have run our country right now, your wife or Hitler?
Hitler! Of course. I don't have a wife, but if I did, she would not be fit to run the country. I could tell you that much. And I think anyone would. One's in the chat if you'd rather Hitler over your wife. Two's if you prefer your wife. We'll let the fucking numbers do the talking.
But then he comes on the podcast and he says his first initial policy, which is he does not want to live around black people. He wants to live around a mostly white community. And so compared to saying you love Hitler and spamming the N-word all day, that sounds like kind of a more moderate position, and it drags whoever the person debating him into a weird space they weren't ready for. However, let's be clear, that's a still crazy, racist, and ridiculous, overwhelming, should be shunned opinion by far. Now, that is an overwhelmingly racist take, and people who debate him, like Hunter in this interview, get caught up in that. With racism, you can't debate it. Like, if someone hates a black person, there's nothing to debate with them. It's an illogical tribalist thought process. There's nothing to talk about with it. There's no convincing of the other side, and there's not really any debate to be had. But this is where Fuentes thrives. They spend the rest of the debate on this topic. They spend it on racism and if black people really do commit a disproportionate amount of crime. And surprise, surprise, when it's all said and done, they don't really get anywhere. Nick Fuentes' public appearance to the majority of people who don't watch his streams and aren't racist and don't know who he is, he might have sounded a little bit more moderate than you thought. I mean, if he's not asking for the immediate destruction of every Jew on the planet, he's significantly more woke than an Instagram comment section. But I kind of want to run it back to his first policy, actually. Nick Fuentes says he wants to live around only white people. That's why he's doing what he does. That's why he streams every day. That's why he marched at Charlottesville. That's why he riled up the Jan Sixers. But let's run it all back to his first policy. Nick Fuentes says he wants to live around only white people. That's why he does what he does. That's why he streams every day. That's why he marched at Charlottesville. That's why he riled up the Jan Sixers before they raided the Capitol. But then you kind of think about it in a way that, and no one's asked him this, what does that even mean? You want to live around only white people? Are you repealing the Civil Rights Act? Do you want to bring segregation back? Oh, he hasn't said that on any of these talk shows or podcasts. I mean, he himself has said he's grown up in a majority white suburb. And he probably still lives somewhere like that now, if not in the same suburb. What is it like? Meaning he does live around all white people. Maybe he just means that he wants the country to go back to a majority, overwhelming super majority white like it was in 1960. And he's brought up that grievance before, but that's not exactly what he wants either. Trump has begun these mass deportations and ICE raids in the street and killing people, sending them to El Salvador and what have you. And Nick Fuentes is freaking out. He's pushing back on it. He's saying that it's not the right way he's saying it's not the way things should be done. He's saying it's going to aggravate the left too far. He's also not saying he wants a super majority white country on these podcasts or talk shows. He's not saying we need to literally turn it back to 1960 at all.
Boomers had polio. They lost their legs. They were getting impaled by drunk drivers every day. Like, it's way better. Things are way better now.
I mean, he says stuff like that on stream. He says things like all black people need to go to prison or be sent to a colony. But the Nick Fuentes on stream is not the same person on podcasts or talk shows, as he constantly tries to reaffirm to us. It kind of makes sense why he would try to separate so hard the Nick Fuentes that we're talking to now and the Nick Fuentes that's on his stream, because he would have a lot more to answer for if he was both Nick Fuenteses at the same time. But I sort of say this to say, I don't think Nick Fuentes actually really wants anything at all. I think he just likes dressing in a suit and playing the game of politics. I mean, he talks about earlier how he was in United Nation, he was in the Youth UN at his high school or whatever. When some of the earliest videos of Nick Fuentes are when he's at Boston College and he's already, and he's in his suit doing the same thing, talking to a camera. He hasn't started denying the Holocaust yet. He doesn't say he wants a super majority white country. He talks about how he's a light libertarian and how he supports Ted Cruz. I mean, in these earlier clips, he's almost looks like he's a 1-to-1 of Ben Shapiro. Is that can we talk about that actually? How Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes like look very similar? Maybe that's just me. He likes being rebellious to whoever's in charge. He likes saying something that people disagree with the most, like when he made the Jeffrey Epstein merch and said what Jeffrey Epstein did was not that bad because they're 14, which means he's not a pedophile. That's real shit, he said, by the way.
Listen, you niggas are not ready for that conversation, but Jeff Epstein, not a pedophile, but you're not ready for that conversation. All of his victims, 14 to 17. That's not pedophilia.
I think he just likes the streams. He likes the fame. He likes the money. He likes the edits. He likes the clips. He likes getting into politics and influencing decisions. His policy is impossible to nail down. One, because nobody asks him it, and two, because it doesn't exist. And then so he has to stay in this weird space of where he's being super overtly racist on stream, and then when it's time to go talk to people because your stream got so much attention, to just kind of tone it down a little bit and make it seem not that bad. That's sort of how he operates, and I think the Channel 5 interview with Hunter Biden is a great example of how he is no matter who he's talking to, and if you've watched that, you've seen everything about Nick Fuentes. He is the character on stream, and he is just the moderate Chicago boy who wants best for America when it's time to talk to people. He's not really anything, and he doesn't really want anything, and he doesn't have any policy. Yeah, that's about it. We're still going all in on Hunter Biden 2028, and stop giving people who just say racist shit airtime, because they don't want anything, and there's no understanding them. They just want to say racist shit, and they want the attention that you're giving them. So that's about it, everybody. I will see you all later. Goodbye.